If you need help with how to use a feature or troubleshooting the current Braille display line from the company Humanware, check out the Brailliant section on our website where you will find articles that are easy to understand and to the point.
The opinions expressed on Teachavision are solely those of the guests and hosts and do not represent other companies or third parties. Thank you for listening.
Hello, and welcome to Teachavision, a podcast by Screenless Allies, where everyone has a different vision of learning. And now, here's your host, Jose Briceño.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Teachavision episode number 52. Man, now we're really getting older. I hope everyone is doing good and that you are having a great weekend. So, again, we apologize for I know we say this all the time. We apologize for the whole time there, but we are back to posting episodes. And by the way, it's almost summertime, so stay tuned. We got some surprises for you in the next few months. Keep an eye out because there are some cool things coming, and that's all I'm going to say. That's it. So stay tuned. Now then, we're going to continue the review of the Activator. This is actually the final part of the review of the Activator Braille display from HelpTech, distributed by Dream Vision Group. Again, thank you to Dream Vision for providing me a demonstration unit to show you guys. And on this review, we're going to go into the features of the device and talk to you a little bit more about the Smart Dock. So stay tuned to that right here on Teachavision by Screenless Allies. Alrighty then, I'm going to now turn on the unit. Now I'm sure you're asking yourself, well, Jose, is there no speaker? No, there's no speakers, which is nice, but we're going to do the same thing we did with the Active Braille. We're going to turn on the unit, we're going to go through the menu options, and I'm going to tell you what some of these do. So I'm just going to push the power button. I put the activator next to the microphone because it does beep. Of course, you can disable these noises. And actually, by default, when you get a new activator, the startup sound is disabled. But you can always go into the options menu and find signal tones. But now we're going to turn on the unit by pressing the power button. You don't hold it. You just press it and you get. And it vibrated. And it gives me the version number of the activator. So in this case, activator version 2.0. There's Bluetooth. There's the date and time, and it also gives me a question mark, which, if you remember from the Active Braille, is a help. If you push the cursor routing button above the question mark, you will get context-sensitive help, depending on where you are on the applications. Now, I'm going to press the down arrow to go ahead and move down. So the first option is the editor. Now, the nice thing about this new editor on the Activator is you can translate files from uncontracted to contracted Braille, which is nice. You would just find the file, push enter on that file, and find translate to grade 2. And of course, just like the old editor on the Active Braille, there is nothing but text files. So you can still open BRF files, BRL files. You can also import .docx files and things like that using your phone, but it'll turn it into text. All right, if we down arrow, there's iOS apps. Now, remember how I told you a bit ago about the Smart Dock? Well, this is where this comes in handy. Now then, let me explain this to you. So, you need an app on your phone called HelpTech Plus. This works on your phone, your iPad, and your Mac. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to think,
there better be an Android app for this, because I switched to Android to not have to download another messaging app to make life easier for me.
Well, right now there's no Android version, so yeah, I'm sorry, too bad.
I hate everyone.
Too bad, so sad. But you download this, and it gives you the opportunity to connect this device through USB to your phone. Of course, this works for all activator models, so no need to panic. It's not just for the 40. Alrighty then, so to do that, you would connect the Smart Dock. Now let's describe this Smart Dock. They now have two options you can choose from. It used to be just Lightning Smart Docks, but now there's USB-C Smart Docks as well. So you don't have to worry about working around it. But if you don't have a Smart Dock, but still want to use all the cool things that the Activator offers for the iPhone, all you would need to do is connect the USB cable to the Activator 40 on one side and the iPhone on the other, and make sure that on the options menu, when you hit O for options, you want to go until you find an option called USB-C mode. In here, you're going to find an option called iOS device. Make sure you press enter on that, and then you go back to the main menu by pressing N2. Then you can reconnect the device again by disconnecting the USB cable from the Braille device and hooking it back in, and you will be able to use your device. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. So there's that. But right now, we're going to focus on the Smart Dock. Now, the Smart Docks look like a trapezoid, a clip-cornered trapezoid. Honestly, is the best way I can describe it. So you have a little compartment where you put your phone, and there is a spring-loaded lever on the right-hand side that you would pull to the right, so that way you can open it up a little bit, or pull to the left to close it. But normally, you would just put your phone in there like you normally would. Unfortunately, if you have a Pro model of the iPhones, I've noticed that it does block the buttons. So I'm sure the USB-C docks, though, do have more room for this purpose. Because honestly, yes, those Pro units are big. Pros and pluses, honestly. The iPhones that have recently come out are pretty big. So USB-C docks have a 20 centimeter cable, and the Lightning docks have a 10 centimeter cable. You can convert that into inches by using your personal data assistant. Basically, the USB-C cable is longer than the Lightning connector. So now then, how do you connect this thing? Well, easy. Take the dock, put the cable facing your stomach, and then all you do is, if you feel on the left side of the dock, you're going to feel some pointy pins. They don't cut you, but they do feel a little sharp. So now then, you're going to want to line this up to the right side of the activator. And you will know if it fits, because it will start forcing you to connect the magnets together. Do not put this on your lap. I'm sure a lot of people are going to think, well, we could put this on our lap and it's going to be steady. No, you don't want to do that, because eventually the dock will start unsyncing from the magnets. And if you keep pushing it, then your phone's going to fly. And if your phone flies and you have no warranty and you don't have an OtterBox on it, well, then, yeah, you have no phone. Now, that being said, though, the cool thing about these Smart Docks is that the OtterBox does fit in the Smart Docks. So that's actually nice. And then once you put the phone in the dock, like I described a bit ago, you're going to connect the cable to the USB or Lightning connector, depending on what phone you have. And that's how you connect the Smart Dock. Now, that being said, in the iOS apps folder, you have apps that you have put in here. HelpTech already put some on a list. So there's Files, there's Safari, there's Mail, there's Word, there's HelpTech Plus, and then there's Edit. Now, in Edit, it's going to take you to a file, and all you do is go to the bottom, and if you think of an app that you know you might be able to use, that you know you're going to open using the activator, like in my case, I put Messages. So you just write capital MESSAGES, and then you just go back to the main menu, and you can launch Messages from there. Now, what'll happen is when you hit enter on one of those apps, then it will send a command to your iOS device to open Spotlight and type in the name of the app. So then what you'll have to do is press a cursor router button on the app again on iOS once it shows up and it opens it. I do wish that Apple allowed third-party displays and keyboards to be able to make quick shortcuts to the app, so that way you won't have to go through Spotlight. But the fact that you can do that is amazing, in my humble opinion. So that's how iOS apps work. Below that option is Smart Services. In here, there is only one, News. So you can basically get the news on your activator from a select amount of newspapers that HelpTech updates from time to time.
Want honest, non-influenced reviews over assistive and mainstream technology from a blind person's perspective? Check out the Teachability reviews on our website.
Below that is Clock, self-explanatory, has a clock, has a stopwatch, has a timer. You can also set your date and time here as well. There's Games. They're the same games that you came to know and love on the Active Braille. So there's Braille Hunt.
Let's see to find a dot 6. Whoops. Okay, dot 1. Dot 2. Okay, cool.
and Hangman.
Is there an I in here? A blank blank I E blank E. Is there an O? No, there's not. Are you? Okay, fine. Is there a B? No, there's not. Is there a D? A C? Oh, there's a C. A C.
Below that is mass storage. If you know you're going to put a file on your activator and you don't have access to thumb drives and such, because one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning is the activator has built-in memory, no SD cards anymore. So you can actually put files onto the activator itself. So you would hit enter on mass storage and it would disconnect from the computer temporarily and reconnect again. You're going to notice that it might say AC4I. This driver has problems. Leave it alone, let it disconnect and reconnect, and it'll work like normal again. And then you can transfer files the usual way through Windows Explorer. Down narrowing from here is Braille character sets. Again, this is for the geeky. This is for the techie. This is to make your own Braille tables. If you really wanted to make your contracted Braille stuff, you would go through here. If you down arrow again, there's info, which gives you just version information, and then options below that, where you can customize other things as well. So that being said, we're going to look at just some of the features of this device just to look through this. Let's talk about the active tactile control function. Now, we said on the round table, it detects. The cool thing about this ATC on the activator now is you don't need external drivers for anything now. You can press backspace, enter with a chord, and it activates this active tactile control. That would mean that any screen reader you're using will support it because it has the built-in support now on the activator to do so. Now, the only thing that would be cool is if they actually change the sound to turn on and off this feature, because in this situation, all it does is it makes a beeping noise and it's the same beep. Now, I got to mention that when I said backspace enter with a chord, it's on the Braille keyboard, not the QWERTY. Right now, the only workaround, if you're using an iPhone or if you're on a computer with a blank line on your screen, if you have active tactile control turned on, you will see 3 Braille cells on your Braille display, basically meaning that active tactile control is on. If you don't see those, then you can go back to the main menu by pressing the power button, because that's how you will start cycling through all these things, is by pressing the power button. And when you find what you're looking for, then you can disable or enable the active tactile control. You can also enable and disable the same thing for the activator's built-in features by just pressing a backspace with a chord. Another cool feature of the activator series that I wish other Braille displays had is split Braille. Yes, split Braille. So think of it this way. Sighted people can have 2 monitors at once. And on one monitor is one application and on another is another application. Right. That's great. But what if I told you that you can do that with a Braille display as well? Yes, some screen readers have this as a feature as well. And you can control 2 different applications with this feature. But Help Tech took it to a whole nother level. Now they're actually allowing you to do one half a computer and one half another device. So as an example, we're going to use a computer and an iOS device for this little scenario. Let's pretend that you're online on your computer looking for a phone number for a pizza place, because who does not love pizza? And you find this phone number. Well, on one side of the display, you have all your computer's content. And by the way, the Braille split can be divided into however many cells you need per half. So, for example, if you have an 80-cell display, you can have 20 cells for the phone and 60 cells for a computer, and so on and so forth. So anyway, in this situation with an Activator 40, we would have 20 cells on one side for the computer and 19 cells on the other side for the iPhone. And the only reason why it's 20 and 19 is because one cell is used as a divider indicator. So that way you know that you're going to move to the other half. Now, the cool thing is the active tactile control also plays an important part, because when your fingers are on the other half of the display, so in this case, the phone's half, then all the commands will be controlling the phone. If you move back to the computer side, all the commands on the keyboards will be used on the computer. So anyway, back to the scenario. Once you find the phone number, you would highlight it with some commands on the display itself and copy it to its clipboard. And then you move over to the right-hand side where your phone is, and you can hit paste if you're on a note. Now, as a forewarning, you cannot do line breaks if you're, let's say, sending a phone number via messages, or if you try to send a long passage of text, because if you do, the enter key will be interpreted as a send command. So don't do that, because then you'll start blowing up people's phones, and you kind of don't want to be doing that. I learned that the hard way. Sorry to the person that received that message. That was horrible. So yes, that is one cool thing, is split braille. And if you want to know more information, check out the Activator's manual. Also, one other cool thing that the Activator has is Braille Shot. Now, you're asking yourself, what is Braille Shot? Well, it's equivalent to a screenshot on Windows. Now, the nice thing is you would push a command, and any displayed Braille or lines or anything that you move around will be recorded to a file, which then you can send over to a teacher, or you can read it yourself. Or if you are sending an email to tech support, you can just take that Braille Shot, which is in the Braille Shot folder in the Activator. You'll see it if you're on Windows Explorer, and they'll be able to read it. It's really, really cool and a very, very useful feature. Alrighty then, so we are now up to the end of this review, and I'm going to tell you my verdict. I am going to give this Activator, the whole series, a 5 out of 5. Now, why am I giving this a 5 out of 5? Well, here we go. Number one, the Activator 40 is a hybrid. So that means you have both the Braille and QWERTY keyboards, which is really nice. So if you're just in the mood to type in on a Braille keyboard, you can do that. If you're in the mood to type on a QWERTY keyboard, you can do that too. The 64 and 80 are full-on computer keyboards. So there's no learning curve to using the device with a screen reader, because they're full-on QWERTY keyboards with a number pad, which is really cool. And of course, with the split Braille feature, you can control more than one device at the same time. It is really, really nice. Now, one of the cons that I found on the Activator 40, unless they have fixed it since this recording, is that the home and end keys are normally function with up and down arrows. Unfortunately, with version 2.0, they took those over with the Braille Split and Braille Shot features. So that is one downside of this. I really do hope that they fixed it, or they did something different to the command structure, because otherwise that can be a bit of a problem. Yes, you can use the Braille equivalent of page up and page down, but it might be a little tedious for some users. But other than that, though, you have pretty much the basics. You have the editors, you have the calculators. Again, it's not like other Braille displays that have a bunch of bells and whistles and can talk and all that. And that's honestly what we really need. Also, the fact that iOS support is using a USB-C dock with file management and such things like that, this can be a full-on note taker, which is really nice. You don't need any assistive technology or any additional $6,000 note takers. This Braille display will do the trick with an iOS device, especially if you configured the apps correctly. So, for example, you could put in Pages, or you could put in Word, and it would open those documents, and you can type in QWERTY, or you can type in Braille. So honestly, it is really, really, really nice to have those things in one display. I can honestly say the Activator was a device of 2024, which is when I saw that. I honestly think no other Braille display can top this, especially with the desktop computer keyboards. Other than that, though, 5 out of 5. There's really no complaints about this device. It is updated and maintained, and it's really nice to have in your tool belt. So again, thank you very much for listening to this review, and we will see you on the next episode of Teachavision by Screenless Allies.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Teachavision. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to check out previous shows, which are equally informative and fun as this one. Make sure to also check out our website at screenlessallies.com. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/ScreenlessAlliesOfficial. Do you have any suggestions or comments? Why not email us info@screenlessallies.com. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.